उसको ही कंटिन्यू करें, ऐसा उनका आदेश था, तो विल ट्राई टू वर्क अराउंड दैट। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर जॉइनिंग, सॉरी फॉर डिले। तो हम लास्ट टाइम डिस्कस कर रहे थे, अरे इसका मुझे आपने देखा ही नहीं, आप मेरे शाम कैसे बैठे हुए? तो लास्ट टाइम वी वर डिस्कसिंग कंपैरेटिव रिलीजन्स, और कंपैरेटिव रिलीजन्स में हमने डिस्कस किया था द जनरल हिस्ट्री अप टू द ओरिजिन ऑफ इस्लाम एंड क्रिश्चियनिटी फ्रॉम इस्माइल एंड Israel, Jesus. So we don't expect you to remember all of that, but थोड़ा बहुत याद होना चाहिए। So we discussed from the story of Adam, और Adam से फिर हमने धीरे धीरे डिस्कस करते करते आए Adam, Moses, नहीं, Adam, Noah, Moses, and then Abraham, और Abraham के दो सन, एक पत्नी सारा से और एक स्लेव हगार से। So हगार के इश्माइल एंड अनदर वे सारा से जेकब, इजराइल। और उसी में आगे जाकर इजराइल पे ही there was a split, Israel and Christians, या Jews और Christians, and from हगार सन इश्माइल, और वहाँ से आगे जाकर मोहम्मद एंड इस्लाम की शुरुआत। तो उसमें और बहुत ज़्यादा टेक्निकल डिटेल्स जानने की फ़िलहाल ज़रूरत नहीं है, बिकॉज इट विल बी टू मच मोर देन व्हाट वी नीड। A better thing to do will be to move forward in Indian philosophical landscape. भारत में उस समय क्या हो रहा है? तो अगर मैं एक टाइम स्केल बनाने की कोशिश करूं, तो दिस इज 0 CE। 0 CE इज स्टैंडर्ड टाइम जो कि हम हिस्ट्री को एनालाइज करने में यूज करते हैं, एंड इट इज कंसिडर्ड दैट दिस marks the birth of Jesus Christ. Of course this is not precise. Jesus Christ का जन्म कब हुआ किसी को भी नहीं पता। 25 December is of course not his exact birthday, but it was a pagan festival which was later transformed into a Christian festival. But anyway, so 0 CE is the time frame जिससे हम समझते हैं। उससे पहले of course it was BCE and then CE Christian era या AD भी कहा जाता है। So in 6 to 5 century BCE, 6th century से 5th century BCE came the origin of Buddhism, और बुद्धिज्म के बाद जैनिज्म। इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट की मैं बात करूँ तो बुद्धिज्म का जो आइडिया था, उसका आइडिया था वेरी सिंपल, निंदस यज्ञ विदेर आहा श्रुति जातम। तो शाक्य मुनि बुद्ध appeared and he rejected the authorities of Vedas from 6th to 5th century BCE। और उसके बाद फिर जैनिज्म आया जिसने नॉन वायलेंस की टीचिंग्स को दोबारा से एम्फसाइज करना शुरू किया, और जो बची कुची वेदों की बातें थी उसको भी नष्ट कर दिया। तो पूरे इंडिया में जो वैदिक स्कूल था, जो 6 दर्शन है वैदिक स्कूलों के, कौन कौन 6 दर्शन है? Vedas has got 6 schools. It starts with न्याय, सांख्य, वैशेषिका, मीमांसा, योग एंड वेदांत। ये 6 अंडरस्टैंडिंग्स थी। ऑफ कोर्स वेदांत इज करेंटली मोस्ट पॉपुलर, लेकिन उस समय आज से 2500 साल पहले ऑल ऑफ दीज स्कूल्स वर वेरी प्रोमिनेंट इन इंडिया, पर्टिकुलरली वेदांत, वैशेषिका एंड न्याय, दे वर वेरी प्रोमिनेंट। लेकिन जब बुद्धिज्म और जैनिज्म का अराइवल हुआ तो उस समय ये सारे स्कूल्स लगभग बंद हो गए, और द थॉट ऑफ बुद्धिज्म एंड जैनिज्म बिकेम पॉपुलर थ्रू आउट इंडिया, साउथ इंडिया में। Even when you read the life story of Shripad Madhvacharya, he said that he debated several Jains and Buddhist scholars in South India to re-establish Vedic principles. तो इसलिए it was a very difficult phase altogether, जिसमें वेदों को completely वैदिक अथॉरिटी को रिजेक्ट कर दिया गया। और इस पूरे पीरियड में until 2nd century CE, till the time Sripad Shankaracharya appeared, there was a taandav of Buddhists. There was a taandav of Buddhists and slaughtering, onslaught, butchering, murdering of Vedic followers in all of India. और हम जानते हैं अशोक ने किस तरीके से कन्वर्जन्स कराए, और हम मे बी पॉजिटिव में सुनते हैं, बट दैट कन्वर्जन वाज नॉट ऑलवेज वेरी पॉजिटिव, और कन्वर्जन्स आर नॉट ऑलवेज वेरी पॉजिटिव। चाहे वो कितने ही आप अहिंसक धर्म हो, कन्वर्जन करने के लिए आपको हिंसा का प्रयोग करना ही पड़ता है, और वो अशोका और सब्सिक्वेंट किंग्स ने किया। इन 2nd century CE appeared Sripad Shankaracharya, and Sripad Shankaracharya debated all the scholars, Nyayikas, Buddhists, Mimamsakas, the Jains, throughout India, and he re-established the concept of Vedas. That is the greatest contribution of Sripad Shankaracharya. अगर शंकराचार्य नहीं होते, probably we all would have been Buddhists or Jains. So that was a major challenge. After Sripad Shankaracharya's arrival, जो बुद्धिज्म है उसमें एक steep decline देखने को मिला throughout India. और बुद्धिस्ट को शंकराचार्य, so what Shankaracharya did, so there are 4 corners of this nation, और उन 4 corners में श्रीपाद शंकराचार्य ने 4 मठों की स्थापना की, and the idea was to protect the Vedas through all 4 corners of India. So Jyotirmath in north, which is today Joshimath, Dwarka Math in west, Puri Math in east, and Kanchi in south. इस तरीके से श्रीपाद शंकराचार्य established these months with the idea to protect the nation from future onslaught of Buddhist propaganda. तो एक तरीके से philosophical शील्ड की तरह काम कर रहे थे चारों मठ, ताकि वैदिक अथॉरिटी को प्रॉपर्ली establish और प्रोटेक्ट किया जा सके। Moving forward, around 11th century CE, तकरीबन 500 to 700 years after, around 700 years after arrival of Shankaracharya, appeared Sripad Ramanuja. और अब दोबारा से एक मेजर चेंज पूरे इंडिया के फिलोसॉफिकल मैप में आने लगा, when we shifted from the Advaita school, the Jnana process of enlightenment, to the Bhakti process of enlightenment. So with the arrival of Ramanujacharya, you can say, came the arrival of Bhakti movement. Of course, उससे पहले 2 संप्रदाय और आ चुके हैं, विष्णु स्वामी और रुद्र संप्रदाय आ चुका है, लेकिन वो उतना मैसिव इन्फ्लुएंस क्रिएट नहीं कर पाया जितना मैसिव इन्फ्लुएंस हुआ when Sripad Ramanuja came in the picture, and after Sripad Ramanuja came Sripad Madhva. And from here जो एक मैसिव भक्ति मूवमेंट है, that भक्ति मूवमेंट started all over India. Sripad Ramanuja's disciples, Sripad, कोई बात नहीं, हो गया, ठीक है, कल के लिए. Sripad Ramanuja's disciples, Sripad Madhva's disciples, majorly Sri Purandar Das. इस कॉल में वो है, मतलब डिफॉल्ट सिस्टम है, जैसे किसी गले में माला गई तो अचानक से हाथ ऐसा कोई शास्त्र विधान तो नहीं है. Anyway, from after Sripad Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya, this bhakti movement came into the picture. उनके disciples जैसे श्री अन्नमाचार्य, श्री पुरंदर दास, श्री कनक दास, श्री वादिराज तीर्थ, all these legendary disciples in these 2 sampradayas, they wrote poems for the first time, devotional poetic compositions for the first time. उससे पहले it was never so popular. Although Shankaracharya also wrote, but it got never so much influence as when these devotees, these Vaishnavas, they started to compose. And fast forward to the 15th and 16th century, appeared Sripad Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. और हम अभी 15th सेंचुरी से लेकर और 2026 तक क्या हुआ है इसको डिस्कस करने का प्रयास करें. What was the scenario in which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared? And what was the scenario in which he preached? And what happened after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What was the story that followed the legacy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? That will be our discussion particularly. तो श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु का appearance was very monumental, क्योंकि उस समय इंडिया में बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. आजानुलंबित भुजौ द्विजवरौ कनकावधातौ संकीर्तनैक पितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वंभरौ द्विजवरौ युगधर्मपालौ वंदे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ. तो संकीर्तनैक पितरौ, as Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, after the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Sankirtan movement, although it was also already present in Karnataka, Shri Purandar Das was doing Sankirtan, Shri Kanak Das was doing Sankirtan. In Andhra and Tamil Nadu, Shri Annamacharya and other legends were doing Sankirtan. In Maharashtra, Shri Namadev was doing Sankirtan. And in Gujarat, Shri Narsingh Mehta was doing Sankirtan. In North India, Shri Ramanandacharya and Shri Goswami Tulsidas, all of them were doing Sankirtan. In Bihar, Vidyapati was doing Sankirtan. So this Sankirtan was already present all over the India. This was happening. लेकिन एक unified form नहीं था. Things were happening in a very random form और बहुत ही जगह जगह पर बिखरे हुए. But Bhakti movement was there and the Sankirtan movement was there. But there was no unifying force to unify all these Sankirtan movements and give a philosophical backing to it. And in that scenario, in that situation appeared Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let's try to see कि जब Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu का appearance हुआ तो उस समय क्या क्या चीजें हो रही हैं. तो this is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. तो अलग अलग ग्राउंड्स पे चीजें हो रही हैं. फर्स्ट इज द डिवोशनल एस्पेक्ट. तो जैसा मैंने बताया, बीट मीराबाई, बीट नामदेव, तुकाराम, नरसिंह मेहता, all of them were propagating this bhakti movement throughout India. ठीक है, so that was the devotional aspect. Then the social aspect. Social aspect में क्या हो रहा था? The Brahminical prominence was on its peak. The Brahmins were very powerful, very influential. Although political level पर उनका कोई भी control नहीं था. Politically they were nothing, क्योंकि it was a Muslim rule. But social conventions में और लोगों के दैनिक रहन सहन में Brahmins were very powerful, and they played a very crucial role. That was the social aspect. Coming to political aspect, of course Muslims were damn powerful at that time. Muslims were ruling the country and they were practically managing every aspect of Indian continent. So that was political aspect. Philosophical aspect क्या चल रहा था उस समय? That Mayavad was very prominent. The followers of Shripad Shankaracharya were very prominent. And that is also the reason why जब श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु संन्यास लेना चाह रहे हैं, तो there was no eligible Vaishnava sannyasi in North India to take sannyas now. And therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu retorted to sannyas in Mayavadi Sampradaya. Because the Vaishnava Sampradaya, particularly in North India, especially in Bengal, Odisha, was unthinkable. There was concept of Vaishnava sannyas in North India because Sripad Ramanandacharya already took sannyas and he established the Ramanandi Sampradaya. लेकिन फिर भी वैष्णव सन्यासियों का कंसेप्ट नॉर्थ इंडिया में वाज नॉट वेरी कॉमन. एंड मायावाद संप्रदाय एंड मायावाद फिलॉसफी वाज ऑन इट्स पीक. इफ इट इज फिलॉसफी, इट हैज टू बी अ मायावादी फिलॉसफी. सो देयर वाज अगेन एब्सोल्युटली नो डाउट इन दैट. सो दैट वाज द फिलॉसफिकल एस्पेक्ट. और इस सारे एस्पेक्ट्स में एक और एस्पेक्ट हम कवर करेंगे, कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट. तो कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट में क्या हो रहा है? When Muslims came to India, also came with them Sufism. Although Sufism is an Indian concept. West में Arab nations में Sufism exist नहीं करता. बट जब मुस्लिम्स इंडिया आए और सूफिज्म स्टार्टेड टू ग्रो, उस समय द कंसेप्ट ऑफ म्यूजिक एंड डांस आल्सो स्टार्टेड टू ग्रो. द कंसेप्ट ऑफ काव्य, फॉर एग्जांपल राजा भर्तृहरि's श्रृंगार शतकम, where he uses different kavyas, that was also on rise. So use of instruments in day to day life, because अगर आप वैदिक पीरियड को देखें, वैदिक पीरियड में there was music in social paradigm. Music was not very prominent. कहा जाता था कि dancing and singing, it is not very good thing to do. People of low class, they do it, dancing and singing. But सूफी कल्चर के प्रोमिनेंस के बाद और इन भक्ति सेंट्स के यूनाइटेड कंट्रीब्यूशन के बाद म्यूजिक एंड डांस इन पब्लिक डायस्पोरा आल्सो बिकेम वेरी वाइडली एक्सेप्टेड. तो दैट वाज आल्सो अ कल्चरल आस्पेक्ट. और इन सारे डिवोशनल, सोशल, पॉलिटिकल, फिलोसॉफिकल, कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट में ये थोड़ा हिस्ट्री समझने की कोशिश की कि उस समय क्या हो रहा है. अपीयर्ड श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु. तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु की लाइफ स्टोरी अगर टाइमलाइन को देखें तो इन 1486 चैतन्य महाप्रभु अपीयर्ड. 1486 चैतन्य महाप्रभु अपीयर्ड और 24 सालों तक महाप्रभु ने गृहस्थ आश्रम का पालन किया. कितना हो जाएगा? आई थिंक 1500 नहीं 1510 है ना. 1510 तक महाप्रभु ने गृहस्थ आश्रम का पालन किया. एंड अगेन फॉर 24 इयर्स महाप्रभु परफॉर्म्ड हिज संन्यास लीला. सो 1534. ये जो 24 साल है महाप्रभु के, इस 24 सालों में 20 साल तक यानी टिल 1506 महाप्रभु did what we call as Vidya Vilas Leela, where he would pose himself as a scholar in Navadvipa. He would debate जैसे केशव भारती के साथ, केशव कश्मीरी के साथ महाप्रभु का डिबेट, और अन्य स्कॉलर्स जो नवद्वीप में जाते थे, बिकॉज नवद्वीप वाज अ हॉटस्पॉट ऑफ philosophical study, the study of Vedas and Upanishads. Because Navadvip was such a field, so many scholars throughout the nation would come to Navadvip, और Mahaprabhu would do his Vidya Vilas Leela and debate with all of them. In 1506, Mahaprabhu goes to Gaya, and there he meets Sri Ishwarapuri. और ईश्वरपुरी से मिलने के बाद there is a massive change in Mahaprabhu's personality, and Mahaprabhu shifts from being a ज्ञानी to being a bhakta. Of course, this is external leela. तो महाप्रभु manifests bhakti for these years. But महाप्रभु, जैसा कि हम सब ने सुना है, महाप्रभु ये देखते हैं कि कहीं ना कहीं मैं भक्ति का प्रचार नहीं कर रहा हूँ गृहस्थ आश्रम में रह के. So now Mahaprabhu's vision was to preach, propagate this idea of Shuddha Bhakti, which he has learned from Shri Ishwarapuri. So in 1510, Mahaprabhu takes sannyas in Katwa from Keshava Bharati. और उसके बाद for the remaining years, so Mahaprabhu is 24 years now. When he took sannyas, Mahaprabhu is 24 years old. So from 24 to 30, Mahaprabhu is traveling. Mahaprabhu is traveling preaching. जिसमें महाप्रभु साउथ इंडिया भी गए, जिसमें हम सारी लीलाएं सुनते हैं. महाप्रभु मीटिंग विद कुर्म ब्राह्मण, महाप्रभु बेसिकली द एंटायर मध्य लीला. महाप्रभु मीटिंग विद रामानंद राय, विद वेंकट भट्टा, महाप्रभु मीटिंग विद तत्ववादी, विद उडुपी. तो इस तरीके से महाप्रभु पूरा नॉर्थ इंडिया यात्रा करके आए. एंड देन महाप्रभु आल्सो वेंट टू साउथ इंडिया यात्रा करके आए. महाप्रभु आल्सो वेंट टू नॉर्थ इंडिया. एंड नॉर्थ इंडिया में महाप्रभु मेट प्रकाशानंद सरस्वती एपिसोड. इट हैपेंड इन नॉर्थ इंडिया. Mahaprabhu's meeting with Rup Sanatan Goswami. So Rup Goswami से Mahaprabhu मिले in Prayag and Sanatan Goswami in Varanasi. So 6 years Mahaprabhu was traveling, and the last 18 years Mahaprabhu's Viraha Leela, which he spent in Jagannath Puri, where he experienced Mahabhav. In 1534, Mahaprabhu completed his pastimes and went back to the spiritual world. हमारी कहानी शुरू होती है 1534 से, क्योंकि उससे पहले तो गौर लीला, और गौर लीला तो आप निश्चित रूप से ज्यादा वरिष्ठ वैष्णवों से श्रवण करेंगे. 1534 में महाप्रभु ended his pastimes. unexpectedly. No one was expecting Mahaprabhu to depart this soon because Mahaprabhu was only 48 years old. Mahaprabhu only gave Shikshashtakam as his writings, composition. There was nothing else that Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave. Succession के लिए अब क्योंकि महाप्रभु एक संप्रदाय को किए गौड़िया संप्रदाय को, although महाप्रभु किसी भी कोई ना कोई ऑफिशियल नेम दिए, ना ऑफिशियल फिलॉसफी दिए, ना ऑफिशियल सक्सेशन प्लान दिए, जैसे अन्य संप्रदायों में श्रीपाद रामान शंकराचार्य 4 मठों की स्थापना किए, अद्वैत वेदांत की स्थापना किए, प्रस्थान त्रयी पर टीका दिए. प्रस्थान त्रयी is 18 Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita and Vedanta Sutra. इसको कहा जाता है प्रस्थान त्रयी. And to establish the authenticity of any sampradaya, you need to write a commentary on this प्रस्थान त्रयी. So all the Acharya, be it Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Shankaracharya, they gave commentary on this Prasthana त्रयी to establish their sampradaya. Even Nimbarkacharya, Vishnu Sam, all of them gave. लेकिन श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने प्रस्थान त्रयी पर कोई कमेंट्री नहीं दी. सो सक्सेशन की बात करते हैं. सक्सेशन में 3 चीजें आवश्यक हैं. There should be a written will, there should be a successor, and there should be an organization. Mahaprabhu gave neither of these things. कोई will नहीं है. अन्य संप्रदायों में हम देखते हैं when श्रीपाद रामानुजाचार्य, श्रीपाद मध्वाचार्य they departed, they wrote ये प्रॉपर्टी किसकी होगी, where will things go, where will my possessions go, how will the sampradaya continue, what are the principal tenets of this sampradaya. Like जब Abhishek Gopal Krishna Maharaj departed, he wrote 10 instructions for his disciples. But there is nothing like that what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave. There was of course no successor. All the Purvacharyas, they appointed successors to their seat. Like Shankaracharya, he had 4 primary disciples. Ramanujacharya, he had disciples. Madhvacharya, he had disciples. Mahaprabhu, officially तो महाप्रभु के disciples भी नहीं. The successor, although they were dedicated followers, but किसी को नहीं पता था कि अब संप्रदाय को कौन संभालेगा. And also there was no organization. Sripad Ramanujacharya established Advaita Vedanta as a school, and Madhvacharya established Udupi Krishna Math, or 8 secondary mathas who will carry forward the legacy. Same with Ramanujacharya. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave no organization. And in this situation where there is no will, no successor, no organization, तो अब संप्रदाय आगे बढ़ेगा कैसे? There was a massive challenge. किसी को नहीं पता था. और इस confusion का फायदा उठाया अब संप्रदाय ने. Because there was no authority as to what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's real intent was. Although there were many authorized followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was there, Ramananda Rai was there, in Vrindavan 6 Goswamis were there, in Navadvip, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, all these authorities were there. But who will lead the Sampradaya? There was no clear picture in that regard. And after disappearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the intimate associates of Mahaprabhu also started to leave in separation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ramananda Rai left, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya left, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, everyone left. और महाप्रभु के वियोग में प्रताप रुद्र महाराज also left his body. And when Pratap Rudra Maharaj left his body, the next successor of Odisha, he was not very competent. So Muslims, they attacked Odisha and they dismantled and destroyed every aspect of Gaudiya history and Gaudiya lineage in Odisha. So it was all shatters. किसी को नहीं पता था कि अब संप्रदाय कैसे आगे बढ़ेगा. तो उस समय when sampradaya is in shambles, when sampradaya is in ruins, उस समय our sampradaya had two major following. One was in Vrindavan and another was in Gauda Mandal. So Gauda Mandal also includes Odisha, Bengal and Odisha. So in Vrindavan, जब श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु नहीं है, तो श्री रूप and श्री सनातन took the lead. And in Navadvip, because Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, all of them left, Sri Janava Thakurani. the consort, divine consort of Shiva Nityananda Prabhu, she took the charge. Or they started to re-establish and reclaim गौड़िया lineage. और उस समय जो गौड़ीय भक्त थे, जो महाप्रभु के विरह के बाद निराश्रित थे, they had no shelter as what we will do now. These personalities, Shri Rup, Shri Sanatan in Vrindavan and Shri Janva Mata in Bengal and Odisha, they started to give shelter and instructions to them. Make sense? Any questions so far? लेकिन अभी भी बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. There are no books. तो कोई नहीं जानता सिस्टमैटिकली कि महाप्रभु का मनोभीष्ट एक्चुअली क्या है, महाप्रभु एक्चुअली प्रदान क्या करने आए. What is the philosophy? Because only thing that Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave was Sikshastakam. And now we don't know exactly what Mahaprabhu came to give. What is the purpose of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance? What is his Siddhanta? What is his philosophy? So let's do an analysis of how Mahaprabhu dealt with different things. Let's say religious structure. हम बेसिकली समझने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं कि महाप्रभु का मूड क्या है उस समय. तो महाप्रभु जब जगन्नाथपुरी में है, तो एज वी नो मुस्लिम्स आर नॉट अलाउड इन जगन्नाथपुरी टेम्पल. So Haridas Thakur never went inside Jagannath Puri temple. Rup Sanatan Goswami never went inside Jagannath Puri temple. तो महाप्रभु ने उस समय उस सोशल कन्वेंशन को रिस्पेक्ट किया. महाप्रभु सोशल कन्वेंशन को एक्सेप्ट किए. जो भी जगन्नाथपुरी टेम्पल का सोशल कन्वेंशन है, दैट महाप्रभु एक्सेप्टेड. लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल व्हेन श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु वाज इन बनारस, तो बनारस में जब श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु हैं, तो प्रकाशानंद सरस्वती एंड ऑल द मायावादी सन्यासीज दे आर जजिंग श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु, क्योंकि श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु इज स्टेइंग इन द हाउस ऑफ अ लो क्लास पर्सन. लेकिन महाप्रभु प्रसाद एक ब्राह्मण के यहाँ पा रहे, प्रसाद एक ब्राह्मण के यहाँ पा रहे. सो महाप्रभु व्हेन नीडेड ही चोज टू एक्सेप्ट सोशल कन्वेंशन. जो सामाजिक रूप से एक्सेप्टेड चीज है, महाप्रभु उसको स्वीकार की. लेकिन जब महाप्रभु ने चाहा तो महाप्रभु ने उसको नहीं भी स्वीकार किया. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु अपॉइंटेड रूप एंड सनातन गोस्वामी एज प्रिंसिपल सक्सेसर्स which were externally non-Hindus, because although they were coming from a high class Brahmin family, Saraswat Brahmanas, लेकिन महाप्रभु ने, लेकिन of course they later served a Muslim, so became Yavans, Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik, but Mahaprabhu appointed them as principal successors to the movement. So Mahaprabhu chose his battles wisely. When needed, he fought against the social customs, and when needed, when he desired, he also followed the social customs. Like for example, Shri Gopal, so when the Shat Goswamis were in Vrindavan, अब देखिए रूप एंड सनातन गोस्वामी they were Muslims, and the Smartas, the Jat Goswami, they won't accept the authority of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. Although now they are Goswamis, but earlier they were Muslims. So of course the Smartas won't accept their authority. इसीलिए out of the 6 Goswamis, who wrote the book on deity worship? Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, because he was coming from a very high class Brahmin family. From the descent, he was a descendant of Venkat Bhatt, son of Venkat Bhatt. He is the chief priest of Sri Ranganath Swami temple. So of course he was a high class Brahmanas. So when it comes to deity worship, which क्या हुआ तो बहुत नींद आ रहा है. So when it comes to deity worship, which is a purely Brahminical task, no one would accept the authority of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. Therefore, Kshatriya Sardipika, the deity worship and Samskaras manual of Gaudiya Sampradaya, was written by Gopala Bhatta Goswami, because he was a Brahmana and Smartas would accept his authority. Similarly, making disciples, Rupa and Sanatana Goswami also made disciples, but not in large numbers. Major task of making disciples went to Shri Gopala Bhatta Goswami. और इसीलिए राधा रमण संप्रदाय का जितना preaching है, श्री पुंडरी गोस्वामी etc. का, लेकिन पंजाब में there is a big preaching they have. ये आज से नहीं हो रहा है, ये उस समय से हो रहा है. आपने देखे ये रूप गोस्वामी के, सनातन गोस्वामी की लीनिएज में नॉर्मल लोग इधर उधर घूम रहे हैं. बाबा जी से हैं now due to Srila Prabhupada, this Gopal Gopal संप्रदाय is growing. because ISKCON is Rupanuga. But वैसे as such in general you won't see many people coming in line with in Rupanuga Sampradaya. But you will see many people coming in line with Gopal Bhatta Goswami, this Radharaman Sampradaya. Because Gopal Bhatta Goswami made a lot of disciples. And that preaching is continuing from that time. So because he was a Brahmana, he accepted the social convention and made a lot of disciples, wrote book on samskaras, deity worship. Whereas Rupa and Sanatana Goswami and the later Jeev Goswami, they focused more on backing the sampradaya with philosophical treatises. So in this way, our acharyas, they dealt very practically with the world and the world around. So that was the religious system that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followed. When needed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followed social conventions, and when needed, Mahaprabhu also sometimes silently, sometimes vocally challenged social conventions as well. Then cultural context क्या है उस समय? So Mahaprabhu's approach of outreach, because Mahaprabhu also did outreach, both mass and class preaching. So Mahaprabhu's approach of outreach was to see what is the cultural context at that time. क्या हो क्या रहा है भारत में, और उसके हिसाब से अपनी preaching को mold करो. जैसे poetry, music, drama was on its rise in all of India, and Mahaprabhu encashed that by propagating the Sankirtan movement. The use of musical instruments, the use of poetry, the use of Natya Shastras was on its rise. So Mahaprabhu very skillfully engaged that, and the disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu using things like Jagannath Priya, Natakam, and all these. Yeah, agar you see the structure of Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Mangal, it is not Sanskrit task, Sanskrit work. ये literature का भी work नहीं, it is work of poetry, poetic masterpiece. तो Mahaprabhu saw all that, and Mahaprabhu said कि अगर हमें outreach करना है, तो हमें poetic methods को use करना पड़ेगा, because Ramcharitmanas was a massive blockbuster in all of North India because of its poetic approach, and because masses could connect to it. Earlier than that, Sri Sampradaya में भी ये हुआ, या Madhva Sampradaya में ये हुआ, that instead of writing in Sanskrit, many of their acharyas wrote compositions in local languages. Like Sant Tukaram, he wrote Abhangas in Marathi, so that local audience could connect to it. This was not a characteristic of Vedic period. Vedic period में most of the text was in Sanskrit, and therefore out of reach of normal people. And therefore to approach the Vedas and to have its understanding, they would have to approach to the scholarly class of people to understand the import of the Vedas. But now, since the social and cultural paradigm was changing, Natya Shastras, the Kavya Shastras are on its reach, and more philosophical saints are now subscribing to these local dialects so that more people could connect to philosophy without having a solid grounding in Sanskrit. They started to write compositions in local languages. और सिर्फ लोकल लैंग्वेज में नहीं लिखा, ऐसा नहीं कि नोवेल लिख दिया, पोएम्स लिखी, so that लोग उसको और easily grasp कर पाए. And that is what also Mahaprabhu used, the cultural situation of India at that time. Or of course the philosophical context. Mahaprabhu देखे कि this Advaitavad is prominent, or at least in North India the Vaishnavas are not in very strong situation. In South India we had some backing, but in North India not so much. And Mahaprabhu used that as a medium of preaching when he took sannyas from Keshava Bharati, because he knew that Vaishnava sannyasis are not very well respected in India, and therefore if I want social acceptance and then preach from there, maybe I'll have to take sannyas from Advaita Sampradaya. But just taking sannyas from Advaita Sampradaya doesn't make one sannyasi. कई लोग जैसे पूरी शंकराचार्य इत्यादि कहते हैं, देखिए आपके जो ये चैतन्य महाप्रभु हैं, इनका नाम क्या था? What was his sannyas name? Earlier he was Vishwambhar, but when he took sannyas he became Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bharati. Now this Bharati, Aranya, all of these are Saraswati, Mayavadi Sampradaya titles. There are 108 titles in sannyas. Out of them 10 are used in Mayavad Sampradaya, and Bharati is one of them. Bharati is not superior, top class sannyas title. Sannyas में there are categories. Saraswati, Aranya, these are topmost. Bharati is little low. थोड़ा सा नीचे. Anyway, it is a Mayavadi title. So your Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually Shri Krishna Chaitanya Bharati. He took sannyas in Mayavada Sampradaya. So how can he preach Vaishnav Siddhanta? Is that a valid argument? How do we answer this? So there are three things. There is Siksha, there is Diksha and Sannyas. और hierarchy होती है that Siksha Guru is topmost in terms of taking guidance and instructions and incurring the mood. After Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru, and after Diksha Guru, Sannyas Guru. So when it comes to accepting philosophy, Sannyas Guru is not on priority. So Mahaprabhu Sannyas Guru was an Advaitavadi, but his Siksha Guru Ishwar Puri was a Vaishnava, because his spiritual master Madhavendra Puri came in Madhva Sampradaya. So therefore the Siksha of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Siksha Guru of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a pure Nitya Siddha Vaishnava. So how can he say that Mahaprabhu's philosophy is Advaita, is that of Advaita? This argument was rejected. They said no, Madhavendra Puri का जो टाइटल है, it is Puri. ईश्वर पुरी का जो टाइटल है, संन्यास टाइटल, it is Puri. Now his title is Bharati. Now Puri is a Vaishnava title. Bharati is a Mayavadi. Of course they don't say Mayavadi, they say Advaita title. So why can't they use this? So if he is using Bharati, why is he not a Mayavadi sannyasi or Advaitavadi sannyasi? We don't agree. Why? In total there are 108 sannyas titles. जैसे कहते हैं श्री श्री 108. 108 का मतलब क्या है? 108 का मतलब है 108 sannyas titles. So a person is so glorious that he holds all the sannyas titles. इसलिए कहा गया 108. पीठाधीश्वर, महामंडलेश्वर, etc. So Mahaprabhu used Advaitavadi sannyas title. But this is not unique to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Nimbarka Sampradayas, the Nimbarka Sampradaya gives sannyas in all these 108 titles. In 108 के 108 में निम्बार्क संप्रदाय में संन्यास मिलता है. So ऐसा नहीं है कि वैष्णव संप्रदाय में पहली बार ऐसा हुआ कि apparently अद्वैतवादी संन्यास टाइटल से किसी वैष्णव सन्यासी ने संन्यास लिया. Is this making some sense? Or is it too confusing? Simple things. तो इसीलिए ये भी पहली बार नहीं. So that was also rejected by them, by us. So this philosophical context was also there. Later on, Sri Jeev Goswami, he officially formulated the Gaudiya Sampradaya, and it was Jeev Goswami who for the first time used this term Achintya Bhed Abhed Tattva Siddhant. It was Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan who for the first time, आगे हम डिस्कस करेंगे इसको अगर हमें समय मिला आज या कल, who for the first time connected our sampradayas to Madhvacharya. Before that there was no established connection between our sampradaya and that of Sripad Madhvacharya. So this was the, if you discuss cultural context and philosophical context. Now let's come to political context. तो तीन चीजें एक साथ चल रही हैं. There are the Mughals, then we are ending this in 5 minutes. इसके बाद Gaudiya and Rajput kings. ये तीनों साथ में एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं, कोएग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं. Vrindavan, Mathura is officially under Mughal rule, and very close to Mathura is the Rajput kings. So Mughals में first there was Akbar. Akbar was not a saint, but he was also not a swindler. So Akbar assisted our acharyas on many points. He gave funds for libraries, temple constructions, ghat construction, dham renovations, and our acharyas were in good terms with Akbar. But after Akbar came Aurangzeb, and he destroyed all of Vrindavan. And when Aurangzeb destroyed all of Vrindavan, so of course during the Aurangzeb time our Goswamis, our acharyas, 6 Goswamis were there, and there are letters of communication between Akbar and the Goswamis. ये सब बातचीत हुई. But after 6 Goswamis departed, Akbar also left, came Aurangzeb. और औरंगजेब ने आते से ही 2 नदियां बनाई वृंदावन में, एक तो यमुना और एक खून की नदी. There was so much of slaughtering and butchering of devotees in Vrindavan. Of course, he destroyed all our temples. Madan Mohan temple was 7-story, and it is now 2-story. It is maybe 80 stories. और आपने अगर मंदिर को ध्यान से देखा होगा तो कई सारी नक्काशियों के सर उड़ाए हुए हैं, सारी नक्काशियों के सर उड़ाए हुए हैं. So Aurangzeb he destroyed Vrindavan. तो सारी deities were in danger, all the deities. So our acharyas, they reach out to the Rajput kings, and Rajput kings, especially Savai Jai Singh, he was a very high class devotee of the Lord. He was very devout person. So he promised protection to the deities at least. So all the deities in Vrindavan, they were transported via Kama. So सारी deities को वृंदावन से कामेवन होते हुए they were transported to Jaipur. Someday we will discuss in detail क्या हुआ और कैसे deities अलग अलग गाँव में रुके. इसलिए आज भी आप जब कामेवन जाते हैं तो there is a वृंदा देवी टेम्पल, एक्चुअल वृंदा देवी में. जब सारे deities को मूव किया जा रहा था, गोविंद, गोपीनाथ, मदन मोहन, राधा माधव, गोकुलानंद, all the deities were being moved. Then Vrinda Devi, the original Vrinda Devi of Braj 84 coast, she was also being moved. And when she reached Kamevan, she said, no, I don't want to leave now, leave me here. So Vrinda Devi is still there in Kamevan. आपने से कुछ लोगों ने शायद दर्शन किया करेंगे बाद. फिर बाद में एक प्रतिभू विग्रह जो आज हम वृंदा देवी देखते हैं नंदगांव के पास, जो ISKCON मैनेज करता है, that is a different deity which was later established. But original deity is in Kamevan. She was also being moved out. और वहाँ पर एक गोविंद देव मंदिर भी है, सेम टेम्पल कॉम्प्लेक्स. So Govind Dev stayed there for some days. तो ऐसे होता था, deities would move, stay in a village for 2-3 days. Villagers would worship them, and then they would move and move and move. इस तरीके से move करते करते they reached Jaipur, and that's a separate history altogether how the Jaipur kings protected them. So that was the political context. And our acharyas ऐसा नहीं है कि केवल वो रसिक भक्त हैं तो बैठकर निर्जन भजन कर रहे हैं. They are also leading the organization. Like for example, the earliest in all of world history, the earliest signed document that exists is that of Shajir Goswami, where he wrote his will. That is the oldest signed document we have present in the entire world today. That was signed by Shajir Goswami, where he wrote his will, organizational will. अब ये राधा दामोदर मंदिर का मैनेजमेंट आगे कैसे बढ़ेगा? So our acharyas, they had their heads in the sky, in the sense they were experiencing the rasa of spiritual world. But they also had their feet on the ground. They knew the reality of this material world. We have to deal with these Mughal things. मुझे लैंड एक्वायर करना है, मुझे टेम्पल कंस्ट्रक्शन करना है, टेम्पल के लिए कंस्ट्रक्शन मटेरियल एक्वायर करना है, फंड्स इकट्ठा करने हैं और फंड्स इकट्ठा करके टेम्पल कंस्ट्रक्शन करना है. और सिर्फ टेम्पल कंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं करना है. टेम्पल का मतलब सिर्फ टेम्पल नहीं होता. टेम्पल के अराउंड एक कम्युनिटी डेवलप होती है. When you go to, for example, go to Srirangam temple in Kanchi, त्रिची, तो टेम्पल के चारों तरफ कई किलोमीटर तक कम्युनिटी बसी है, which is centered around temple. If you go to Jagannath Puri, thousands of families they stay near Jagannath Puri temple and they depend on the temple. So temple का मतलब सिर्फ temple नहीं, temple का मतलब है a community which develops with temple. So acharyas, they don't only see the management of the temple, they see the management of the community that grows along with the temple. So these were the different surroundings, situations. अभी तक हम सिर्फ आसपास क्या हो रहा है वो डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, किस सिचुएशन में our acharyas speech. But interestingly, even when acharyas are having so many challenges, it never reflected in their writings. They were facing struggle from Muslims. Like once Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, his pen name was Hari Vallabh. When he would write Hari Vallabh, signed as Hari Vallabh. So once he was writing something, and there was a knock at his door, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur saw it's a Muslim Sainik who has come to arrest me or kill me or something. So he jumped from the window and he ran into the bushes. और फिर सैनिक ने दरवाजा तोड़ा, he also ran और देखा खिड़की खुली हुई है तो भागा पीछे और वो झाड़ियों में घुसा तो एक छोटी सी बच्ची खड़ी थी. So he said, अरे तुमने यहाँ किसी व्यक्ति को जाते हुए देखा? फिर हाँ वो तो उधर जा रहा है. So he ran in there and vanished. But that Bachchi was Nitya Manjari Swarupa Vishnu. So he came in that Swarupa and protected himself. So all of that our acharyas were experiencing. We'll see when we will discuss Vishwanath Thakur if we get time. But even in all of that, in all of their writings, you will never see them mentioning it. It seems as if when they are writing, they are on different plane altogether. जब वो लिख रहे हैं तो एक बिल्कुल अलग धरातल पर है, which has got nothing to do with what is happening around. And this is their speciality. This is the speciality of our acharyas. हाँ, तो ठीक है. I'll not start a new topic now. It's 7:55. कल हम डिस्कस करेंगे. Tomorrow we'll resume the difference between what was happening in Bengal and what was happening in Navadvip. Vrindavan. Vrindavan में Shri Roop Singh Sanatan Goswami was there, and after them Shri Jeet Goswami was there. But Bengal में after Janva Mata, no one was there. Then later on, because of lack of leadership, Shri Jeet Goswami sent Shri Narottam, Srinivas and Shri Shyamananda to Bengal. But there was a big divide between Vrindavan and Bengal. Vrindavan में it was more Krishna Katha, which is Krishna's name. Vrindavan में most of the compositions were in Sanskrit. So Vrindavan में some authenticity was protected, some philosophy was protected because of Shri Jeet Goswami particularly, and of course Roop Sanatan. But in Bengal, it was a total chaos. All the up-sampradayas, Aul, Baul, Ratibadi, Goram Nagari, Sakhi Bekhi, Sahajiyas, all of them sprung all across Bengal and Odisha. Or Bengal mein more focus was on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sri Chaitanya Leela. Like in Vrindavan, the focus was more on Krishna Leela. In Bengal, the focus was more on Gaura Leela. Like Chaitanya Bhagavat by Vrindavan Das Thakur, Chaitanya Mangal by Lochan Das Thakur. All of these compositions they came, but फिर भी the situation in Bengal was very, very bad. और कोई एक लिंक चाहिए था जो वृंदावन और बंगाल को जोड़े, बिकॉज उसमें बहुत बड़ा डिवाइड आ गया. तो कल हम डिस्कस करेंगे वो लिंक क्या है जिसने बंगाल और वृंदावन को जोड़ा. फिर हम और डिस्कस करेंगे विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर, बलदेव विद्याभूषण. और अब तो नहीं हो पाएगा, आई थिंक कल तो नहीं हो पाएगा, बट next month when we meet, we will discuss from Srila Bhakti Vinod. Shri Gaudiya Sampradaya, glorious Guru Varga ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
इस गृह सुचारू रहे प्रभु जी की जय. प्रभु जी का बहुत धन्यवाद करें. प्रभु जी ने इतना सुंदर लेक्चर दिया गौड़िया संप्रदाय के ऊपर, इसकी बहुत बहुत ज़रूरत है. हम तो को पता है कि गौड़िया संप्रदाय की ग्लोरीज क्या हिस्ट्री. सो वुड लाइक टू एक्सप्रेस आवर ग्रैटिट्यूड टू प्रभु जी बाय लाउडली चैंटिंग हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. इसलिए सुचारू रहे प्रभु जी की जय. प्रभुपाद की जय.